Hey everybody, it's Matt Hsu from Upright Health, and today I'm answering a message from the Mandurah Pilates Center in the wonderful land of Oz, which I believe is Australia and not the home of the wonderful Wizard of. So I got a message from the Mandurah Pilates Center. I believe it's from a lady that I've corresponded with in the past, but I'm not sure, so I'll just say person, just to be safe. So this person actually sent me a message and said, I wrote to you a few months ago and purchased your program on FAI, and slowly but surely I'm seeing some positive results, which is awesome. Thank you very much for sharing that. I'm glad to hear that you've been doing the program faithfully and that you are seeing good results. That is what we're aiming for, so thanks for sharing that. Now this person says that, that they live in an area where there are no hills and they have no stairs, and it's getting to be, it's really hard to go up and down stairs when this person does encounter stairs. Now they say, we had a discussion at my class this morning and everyone who has had or has a knee or hip problem is having difficulty going downstairs. It's been really tough to find videos talking about correct footfall patterns going downstairs, and the only advice that this person's been able to find is from physios who are generally just showing you how to use crutches to go downstairs, which is really not what most of us are looking for. So the question is, can you advise the correct pattern for walking downstairs to prevent further problems in the hip and knee? Also, can you advise the best exercises to simulate this movement when we have no access to stairs? I believe I have lost the neurological pathway in respect to this movement. I understand I need strong glutes on my supporting leg, but I'm having trouble aligning the leg that steps down. Looking at my clients this morning, stepping down from an exercise step, a low one, like I have here, people varied from using the heel to using the ball of the foot to using the full foot to leading with the same leg each time. I look forward to hearing your considerations. So, super good question, and a lot of good information here to cover. So I'm going to try to talk as quickly as I can and cover as much as I can. Now let's talk about the pattern. So when you are walking down stairs, you have a trailing leg, you have a lead leg. My left foot is going to be the lead foot. When I come down, ideally, and it will be speed dependent, but ideally I'm probably going to be coming down onto my forefoot, and if I'm going slowly, then I will actually settle my full foot and go into the next step. So you can view that from the side. When you come down onto the forefoot, settle down and in. I'd say the easiest analogy is running. So walking versus jogging versus sprinting. Basically, the faster you go, the more likely you are going to keep your heel off the ground. So in this building that we're in, there's a set of stairs that go up to extra bathrooms. There's a second story here, and there's extra bathrooms that I'll sometimes go use. Today, as I was coming downstairs, I was just using the balls of my feet, right? Just never ever letting my heels touch. Now, if I'm walking slowly down, then I'll go and then I'll settle, and then down like that. So it will vary, but the major thing you're looking for is that your feet are pointing in the direction you're going. So this is probably not a good thing, right? And also, if you're coming down like this, where you're getting some crossover, your foot's turning in, that's also very, very, very inefficient and indicative of some problems in the hip and around the knee. Now, when we talk about these hip and knee problems, we need to think about them not in terms of the joints being the problem, but rather the muscles that control movement at the joints being the problem. And that's the whole gist of the FAI Fix program, which I'm sure you're starting to, if you don't understand by now, you definitely have gotten a pretty good understanding that muscles are the biggest issue. So with the stepping down, the muscles that I would be really concerned about are the glutes. I think you nailed that very well. Posterior fibers of gluteus medius need to help support you as you're lowering yourself down, right? So going into a hip flex position while still being able to produce a force, an abduction force, means that these muscles right here have to be able to control your femur. Okay, so abduction force with the gluteus medius. Now, exercises for that could be all kinds of abduction exercises. So I have a little band here that I can use just kind of wrap around my legs. I can basically be abducting against the band like that. I can change the angle so you can see if I want to. You can use a chair or cushions or whatever you want to make this easier, but you basically can change the angle so it more closely resembles the hip angle that you need through that gait cycle in the stairs, right? So you can use bands to do that. You can use straps, whatever you need. You can even just use manual resistance of your hand to help create a force that your body has to fight against to do that abduction. Now, the other thing you have to think about is when you are stepping down, your quads need to be strong enough to work eccentrically as you are lowering yourself down, right? So if the quads do not have the strength to gradually let you down, then even if glute medius is strong enough, you have to let go. Okay, so what do I mean by that? I mean, as you're coming down, if your quads suddenly say, we're too weak, we cannot possibly handle going down any further, then you need to somehow get this foot down without bending the knee anymore, right? So how are you going to do that? You're going to let go over here, let your pelvis droop, and then down you go, right? I'm exaggerating that a bit, but that's basically what happens. You grab the handrail, and then down you go. You're going to hit your whole foot. Maybe you'll think, oh, if I can get my heel down, whatever it is, it's going to be sloppy. It's not going to be comfortable because you just landed bone into concrete or bone into wood, right? So the thing is, if the quads cannot control this, I'm going to show you from the side, if the quads aren't strong enough to control the descent, you're just going to come on down like that, and it's not going to be good for anybody. So just like with running, if you're coming down hard on your heel, you're not absorbing shock. You are just sending shock through every joint, right? You're sending shock into the ankle joint, knee joint, and probably into the hip joint as well. So you come down, you want to hit forefoot and be able to control that slowly and safely and then move into the next step. So again, from the side, just coming down forefoot, and then if there's another step, I'd basically be doing the same thing. If I'm doing it at high speed, forefoot, forefoot, right? Always towards the ball of the foot. Now, exercises to help you in case you don't have a step or access to a stair of any kind. Lunges would be probably a very good choice. That would be my first choice. Right, you can be doing rear lunges. It's very likely if you have trouble handling stairs, it's very likely you're going to need a stick to help you to manage this motion. So use a stick to help you kind of figure out how to balance this and really be using both the butt muscles and the hamstrings to help you move. Forward lunges, I'm not a huge fan of, especially if you're having trouble going downstairs, but they can be somewhat helpful as they're going to be more quad dominant. But in general, I find most people first need to focus on getting their butt muscles awake and alive and ready to do this. And this way, when you're doing it with back lunges or rear lunges, whatever you want to call them, gets you quad development, also gets you butt development. So you can start with a stick. Once you're able to do it without the stick, then you start doing it without the stick or less help from the stick until you can do this over and over again. Then you can start loading with weight and start doing things that way. You could also, if you want to be really specific, you could be working the single leg squat pattern like that. This is basically going downstairs, right? I'm taking my step down, and this is a very deep step, right? Most people would never have reason to take a step that big, but in case it ever shows up, it's nice to be able to go down and then back up. So single leg squats like that can be helpful, but I would really stick with things that train abduction, like side lying leg lifts, things like some side lying leg lifts, you'd be lying on your side and then lifting up like that on the floor. The abduction things with bands that I was showing you, you can do that with cables too, whatever you want to do. So there are a couple options, a couple ideas for you, and if you're trying to really train things that are going to help That pattern, you need to remember that it's the strength in the muscles for that pattern that matter the most. It's not really just trying to force yourself to do the pattern. It's about building the strength for that pattern. So I don't suggest going onto the step and practicing, attempting to practice getting the exact right pattern with the foot. I'd suggest working on getting the strength to be able to do that fairly naturally. You may have to put in some mental focus to get used to that pattn, but as you build the strength, that pattern should hopefully become a little more easy, a little more natural for you. So I believe that answers all of your questions, but let me just take a quick peek. Yeah, so we got the pattern and we got walking up and down stairs. Pretty good, a couple exercises. And then, to progress, just a quick note, to progress things, if you can get a chair or some sort of, like those exercise steps, I think they're like $30 on Amazon, at least in the United States. You can just get those aerobic step things and get them at home and just use a step, right? And just get used to walking on steps, walking up steps, and also walking down steps. With clients here, a lot of times we'll use we'll start off, if they're really, really weak, we'll start with a 15 centimeter step, and then we'll move to 30 and then to 45 centimeters, which makes sense to everybody who uses the metric system, and everyone in the United States has no idea what any of those numbers mean. We gradually build it up and get people the strength to be able to go up and down, and that also, the strength to go up translates into also having the strength and coordination to go down. So focus on the strength. Hope that gives you plenty of good ideas. You actually will find a lot of those exercises in the FAI Fix, but hopefully that gives you a different perspective on them and kind of gives you some context so you understand how you can use those for yourself and for your clients. Thanks very much for your feedback and for your question, and please remember, pain sucks. Life shouldn't.